Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are watching this video, I assume you guys are probably photographers or someone who is trying to get into photography. When you first start out in photography, it could be quite overwhelming. There's so many different categories of photography. There's street photography, there's wildlife, sports, events, portraits, and it could be quite overwhelming in the beginning when you don't know which category you want to specify in. After taking photos for about 2 to 3 years now, I'm pretty confident to say that I would associate myself as a street photographer. A lot of my work is based around street and landscape. But yeah, in this video, I just want to explain why I think every photographer should be trying street photography. When I first got into photography, I was quite overwhelmed by how expensive camera gears could get. I mean, like full frame cameras on average at least around $3,000, and then like if you want a fast prime lens, it could cost like $1,000 to even $2,000. And it is not a cheap hobby to get into. But when doing street photography, you don't really need a full frame camera or a really fast like 1.2 lens, because the whole point of street photography is to not get everything out of focus, but to get everything in focus, if you know what I mean. So you don't really need to shoot every photo at 1.2. And even a lot of my street photos are usually taken at around f4 to f5.6. When you're doing street photos, you really don't need that much of a blurry background because you want to showcase the context of the environment that you're in. And usually slower lenses are cheaper to get. Essentially what I'm trying to say here is that you don't need expensive gear to start doing street photography. And that is the reason why I think street photography is so accessible to any photographers out there. I guess this point kind of expands from point one. For street photography, you don't need to schedule a session with a model. You don't need to go to a specific time of day to do it. As long as you have your camera with you, you can pretty much just go out whenever and wherever you want, and you can do street photography. And one of the best ways for you to grow as a photographer is practice. The more practice that you have, the better of a photographer you would be. And because of the fact that you can just practice street photography whenever you want, that is one of the reasons why I think it is one of the best categories to photograph. Photography itself is an art form, and there's a lot of different things that makes a photo good. There's lighting, there's composition, there's editing, there's colors, there's use of negative space. There's a lot of things that makes a photo good. And with street photography, you don't really get to control the lighting or the subject that you're photographing. And because you're taking photos at such an uncontrolled environment, you'll be forced to work with what you have to create the best image possible. And that is one of the most crucial skills of a photographer. Not every photo will be in the best lighting possible or in the best location possible. With practice, you get better at working around those problems. You get better at seeing compositions when sometimes things could look visually boring. And over time, by practicing that, you will become a better photographer. And that skill that you get from being able to take photos at an unpredictable environment translate to other categories of photography as well. You can easily apply that to wildlife. You can apply that to sports photography. You can apply that to wedding photography. Those skills are all interchangeable between different categories of photography. And street photography also have a lot of different elements. There's sometimes you could lean more towards the portrait side of things, could lean towards more the landscape side of things. It is just like a mixed genre of photography within street photography, and that itself diversifies your skill as a photographer as well. Long story short, what I'm trying to say is by practicing street photography, it will make you a better photographer. Ever since I started doing photography, I realized photography has brought me to so many different cool locations I never thought I would go if it wasn't for the photo. I constantly find myself going to new locations in the city just because I wanted to take some photos. Not only do I get to see what the city truly has to offer, but I also get to experience the cultural side of things, you know? I get to see how people actually live, how people communicate, and you know, that is something that you don't get by doing other photographies. If you're only shooting wedding, you get to work with clients, but that's pretty much the only thing that you deal with. If you're doing sports photography, you're pretty much just like on the side stand just snapping shots of the athlete. Street photography forces you to immerse yourself into the culture of the environment that you're in. And not to mention, usually every time I go on a photo walk, I end up walking like 5 to 6 miles, and it's a great way to get your steps in. And yeah, I mean, like, you get to explore your city, you get to burn off some calories, you get to get your steps in. Like, how cool is that? Alright, so that is it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoy watching it. If you are somebody who has been thinking about doing street photography, I hope this video acts as a guide to, I guess, encourage you to go out and do street photography. And at the end of the day, what photography is to capture moments in your life. If you're having fun taking photos, that's all that matters. So that's all from me today. If you guys enjoy watching this video, please consider hitting the like and the subscribe button. And as usual, guys, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace!